here's the truth about letting go. When you start the process of letting go, one single awareness can be enough to create dramatic change really quickly. You can make more money, improve your relationships, get into better shape, all with just one simple awareness and learning how to turn towards what you've been avoiding. After that, your life becomes pretty good. Like, you're in a pretty good spot. You're making good money. You're in good shape. You got good relationships. And this is where most people stop. But the truth is, when we get into the real deep work around letting go, things become a little bit more difficult. My name is David Haas. For the past 20 years, I've spent my time understanding why I am the way that I am. And through that journey, I would be calling myself the letting go coach. And this YouTube channel is about where knowledge meets implementation, because knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. So this is the channel where we go beyond implementation. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to get to what is critical to make dramatic transformations in your life through the letting go process. So if you've been on this spiritual path and you've been doing some letting go work, if you've created some awarenesses around what it takes to make critical shifts, your life has probably become a lot better. And if you haven't done that, you can go to my 3-part course where I talk about uncovering your limits and 3 keys to transforming your life. And I'll put a link to that video right up here. So if you're already there though, and you're starting to go deeper, if your life is already pretty good and you want to get to how to create critical change, then this is going to be the video for you. I often talk about the power of letting go and how all you really have to do to begin to create real change in your life is turn towards pain. And in the beginning, this is like, it's a pretty simple process. One of my clients described this like really well to me. He said, it's like, in the beginning, it's like you have this huge warehouse. And when you start working on letting go and cleaning that warehouse out, you take away all the big stuff, like all the stuff that you're aware of. And so that feels like you're doing a lot of work really quickly, because the warehouse that was once full of a bunch of garbage, a bunch of belief systems and programs and protections is now removed. And this is when like most people stop, because their life becomes pretty good. And this is what happened to me. It's like I cleared out a bunch of really big stuff quickly, and then my life not only turned around, it like completely like 10x or 100x. It was just a million times better. And so then it was very easy to kind of like sit back and get comfortable. But if we want to set the intention to move to higher states of consciousness, if we want to move towards enlightenment, then we have to start doing the dirty work. Now that the warehouse is cleared out of all the big stuff, we have to start getting down on our hands and knees and cleaning the floor, cleaning the dirt out of the cracks. And then this is where things can become a lot more uncomfortable. So I was reminded of doing the dirty work, of the work that really requires leaning into pain in the last few days. And so my life's pretty good. Like, I've done a lot of letting go, and because of that, my life is completely transformed. I have a great family life, I have a great marriage, I have a great business, I make good money, things are going smoothly. And so it's very easy to just get comfortable there. But because I've set the intention to continue to move up the scale of consciousness, to continue to do this work, to move towards enlightenment, I'm constantly asking, like, to have what else needs to be revealed to me? What else do I need to let go of? And because of that constant asking, it was shown to me in the last 2 days. So I got on a call with a potential client, and that potential client was really pushing back on me. And it frazzled me, essentially. I was angry. I got defensive on the call. For about a day and a half, I was like venting to my wife. I was replaying the incident. I was just like thrown off, let's just say. And there was moments in my life in that situation where I was saying, like, what am I even doing this for? Like I already have a good income. Like, why am I trying to become the letting go coach? Like, all of the doubt and all of this stuff, everything, all of my old patterns came up. And in that moment, I recognized, I'm like, oh, she pushed a button in me. And I had to just allowed my ego for the past 2 days practically run the show. The ego does. It tried to protect me from the pain that she brought up in me. And so then when I finally realized this, I recognized that I had to do the work. I had to do the work that I teach. I had to look at what that button was. And the button that she pushed in me was the button of not good enough. And the second she pushed that button of not in me, the ego got defensive, because that was a pain that I am unwilling to feel. And so then what I had to do is I had to turn towards that pain. But now everything in my being was like, no, we're not turning towards that pain, right? I wanted to rationalize, I wanted to justify, I wanted to defend, I wanted to condemn, like I wanted to do all of these things. And there was energy in all of those defenses. But then I realized I had to step beyond that. I had to lean into the pain of not good enough. And when I finally sat down and decided, okay, I'm just gonna sit in what it feels like to not be good enough, I only had to sit there for about a minute and a half where I felt free, my mind cleared, all of the rationalizations and justifications went away. And I felt completely at peace with the whole entire conversation and everything that had happened. And this is the power that comes from true letting go. But the problem is as we, and it's not a problem, but as we go further, the pain that we have to face is more painful, if that makes sense. In the beginning, we deal with the stuff that's easy, that's on the surface. But when we get deeper into this, after we've cleared out that warehouse of the big stuff, we're gonna start facing the things that we don't ever want to face. We're gonna start facing the things that have been embedded in us since pretty much childhood, since early childhood. The pain of not being good enough, the not being accepted, the not being loved. This is when the mind defends feeling that negative pain with everything that it's got, and it's learning how to get through those resistances and connect to that pain that actually will finally break us free. So as I was dealing with all this, I started asking myself the question, like, what is the sense of all this? Like, why am I even doing this? And then the answer came to me like really quickly, which was that if you don't do this work, what you end up doing is just kicking the can down the road. And if we continue to kick the can down the road and continue to ignore the thing that we have to face to transcend, eventually we get hit by a bus on that road. And that bus is essentially our rock bottom. And so the purpose of letting go, the purpose of doing this work, the purpose of trying to move up the scale of consciousness is to avoid hitting that rock bottom, avoid having that emotional pain continue to be a limitation in your life, to clear the noise of the mind that is created by the avoidance of feeling that pain. Because as we clear that noise, we lower our entropy, which is essentially our ability to connect to all, our ability to plug in to that universal intelligence, that collective consciousness that has the answers to everything. And recently, when I was going through all of this, I had been having like trouble connecting. Usually for me, I can connect like really quickly. I can just kind of plug into infinite intelligence and get downloads of information. And it's allowed me to stay on the crest of the wave of creativity. But for the last, I'd say a couple months, I've been unable to connect. And the recognition was because I had been avoiding this one pain, which is that pain of not being good enough. And so as I let go and release that, I started getting clarity. And one of the big intentions that I have right now is to grow my YouTube channel. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? And you are seeing a reflection of that clarity, of that plugging in right now, which was to share my story more, to share my process as how I process through deep, deep emotional pain. And so because of that, I think the message is going to spread more. I think it's going to get more attention. And I know that because it came from this infinite intelligence. The other thing that came to me was I should share more testimonials from customers. And so because of letting go, I was able to plug in and get answers that most people are not available to other people. But it all came from a willingness to face the pain. And that's what most people don't want to do. Ignorance is bliss, but it's only bliss until it's not. And eventually you're getting hit by a bus. And so the idea of enlightenment, the idea of moving up the scale of consciousness, listen to the subtle nudges of the universe, constantly moving you in a direction, constantly saying, hey, this is a thing that you should probably work on, right? Before you get pushed down on the ground to your face, right? This is the process of learning how to follow intuition, learning how to clear the noise of the mind so we can start noticing those subtle nudges of the universe so that we can maximize our potential. Okay, so now this is where we get into the implementation phase. And so what I want you to do is, if you want to continue to grow, step one is you just have to ask for whatever it is that you're still holding on to be revealed. Now this takes courage because you're essentially asking for someone to push a button in you. And when that button gets pushed in you, it all sounds like not that big of a deal here as I'm explaining it in the video, but when that button gets pushed in you, your life gets thrown upside down. So you're essentially saying, throw my life upside down so that I can look at what I'm still holding on to. And that requires a good amount of courage and a good amount of surrender and trust that you're going to be okay when your life gets thrown upside down. So after you've asked and then it's revealed to you, then the next thing that you have to do is you have to ask, what button got pushed in me? After you've caught the ego doing everything it's done to try and protect yourself from the pain, then you have to finally catch it and go, what happened there? What button this got pushed in me? What did that person say to me and how did it trigger me? And then step 3 would be to connect it to the pain that you're avoiding. So once you understand that the button of, let's use my example, the button of not good enough, you then actually have to turn towards and feel and be with that pain. Step 4 is to ask yourself, am I okay here? Can I handle this pain? And the answer will always be yes. It'll always be yes. And if it's not, then it means you didn't sit with the energy of that pain long enough. So it's essentially the same process as a meditation where you're focusing on the breath. Here, you're just keeping all of your attention on the pain, and every attempt of the mind to step out of that pain, you just observe and bring your awareness back to the pain and stay with it. After you do this for 3, 4, 5 minutes, the energy of that emotion is going to subside. It's going to reduce. And then you're going to ask, am I okay here? Can I handle it? And the answer will be yes. And then finally, in step 5 is to create awareness around the shift that was made in you by walking through this process. So even when I did this, I didn't feel like I completely released all of the pain of not good enough, but I felt a million times better. I felt confident. I felt more aligned. I felt energized. Before all of this process, I was low energy. I had cravings for sugar and pop, which were my go-to escapes. I was more argumentative. I was frustrated. I was impatient. These are all the tools I used to not feel. And so after this 5-minute meditation, this 5 minutes saying, hey, I'm willing to feel this pain, all of that shifted, and essentially I did like a 180. And so this is what's available for you. So now, even though all of the pain wasn't gone, my life was dramatically better. And so we have to continue to repeat through this process, which is, sometimes heavy. Like, it would be easier to be ignorant, it feels, right? It would be easier to just give up. But if you have the intention to continue to grow, to become the best version of yourself, you have to have the willingness to face the pain. And this is the process that you need to walk through in order to face it for good. So that's pretty much it. This is the process of letting go. This is the process of doing the dirty work, getting down on your hands and knees. You have to ask for the pain, and you have to be comfortable in sitting in it. If this video gave you any value whatsoever, you want to stay connected to my content, and if you want to train the algorithm about seeing more content just like this, just click that subscribe and like button, and we'll see you again in the next video.